Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Beloved, be sure to give us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast with you. Also, family, be sure to download our app. You heard that right. African Diaspora News Channel. We have our own app, which means we're expanding our voice. And this gives us greater agency over our own messages. And how many of you all know that's so important that we can move without major restrictions with the message that we have? And you're not hearing mainstream media talk about the stuff that we're talking. So as you continue to download the app and tell others about us and have them join as well, you strengthen our collective power. And for that, we say thank you so very much. Family, you all know that I have, made it a point to constantly cover, in terms of my geopolitical style, is, I have constantly connected the dots between American policy, global policy, how she operates legislatively, how some of the officials here, some of the think tanks, some of the, even to a certain degree, certain secret societies work to manipulate what takes place around the world. And so I want you to watch this clip. I have done previous coverage some time back about a recent hearing that the House Foreign Affairs Committee conducted entitled Ethiopia, Promise or Perils, the State of U.S. Policy. But it was a pretty lengthy hearing. So I wanted to highlight another part of that particular hearing. Watch this.
It's also critical that Ethiopians themselves lead the fight for justice and accountability, which is why USAID supports local civil society organizations that monitor and advocate for these principles. We will continue to support both the National Human Rights Institution and international human rights monitors. USAID plans to increase assistance to local human rights actors and organizations to respond to crisis-related human rights violations and address other ongoing human rights issues. Earlier this month, after the government of Ethiopia agreed to major changes in the food aid distribution system, USAID decided to resume food assistance to vulnerable groups across the country. Key elements of the reforms included ensuring the independent and verifiable management of the entire food aid supply chain and agreements on ensuring full access to warehouse, mills, and distribution sites for regular monitoring and oversight. The government also agreed to the internationally accepted best practice of vulnerability-based targeting with joint identification of beneficiaries and joint approval of beneficiary lists.
Okay, family, did you hear that? Were you really listening closely when Mr. Tyler Beckelman, who is a USAID official, this is sort of the humanitarian arm of the United States, did you hear when he said that they sponsor or pay, in other words, local civil society, organizations? And then later he said other actors on the ground to monitor Ethiopians. He also talked about the fact that they're looking forward to supporting even more, investing even more in such individuals that are able to monitor the goings on in Ethiopia. Now, notice that this is about the fact they acknowledge the fact that their food program that they had for the country was temporarily ceased because of some alleged food scandal. Now, I'm going to read to you from a statement from Samantha Powers, who's the administrator. She used to be the United States ambassador to the UN. She's now in this position. She says here in a statement some months back when they did this, that the United States government has raised its concerns with officials from both the Ethiopian federal government and the Tigray Interim Regional Administration. Both federal and regional authorities in Ethiopia have expressed their willingness to work with us to identify those responsible and to hold them accountable. Talking about, they claim those that are accountable for this alleged food scandal where they claimed that the food that was supposed to be given to the people was actually put on the market and sold. She goes on to say the U.S. aid stands ready to restart the pause food assistance only when strong oversight measures, listen, are in place. And we're confident that assistance will reach the intended vulnerable populations. She talks about the diversion has dealt yet another blow to innocent civilians suffering needlessly due to the recent conflict in northern Ethiopia, where millions of people are experiencing acute food insecurity. Family, let me tell you something first and foremost. It is absolutely suspect and suspicious that they would unilaterally completely stop the entire food program after admitting the number of people that rely so heavily on it, because you're saying that some of the food was diverted to the market and sold instead of given. The other thing that I want you to pay close attention to was that the reason why they scurried to restart it was after the Ethiopians gave them full access to the entire food process, its warehouses, its locations, and they use some other term, but basically the interrelated buildings and processes. So they had to give them complete full access. And then on top of that, did you hear him say how they made an agreement with the government to, and I want to say it, use the exact terminology, to give them to engage in what they call global best practices that they call vulnerability-based targeting, which also sounds like outside of the individuals that they claim are responsible for this alleged food scandal where food got on the market and it was sold instead of given to the people. Family, they had the government agree to engage in vulnerability-based targeting individuals that are outside of the that sounds to me ostensibly clearly outside of this alleged food scandal. Now, if you know anything about the United States and her Western allies, if they were engaged in this food program and they felt like that they didn't have the full-fledged access to the country and certain buildings and geographical locations and certain people and officials that they wanted, let me tell you something. I would not put it past the United States to create a crisis in order to negotiate all of the other stipulations that they forced the Ethiopians and the Ethiopian government to agree to, and the Tigray interim government. And it sounds to me that by them saying that they wanted them to engage in vulnerability-based targeting, and they continue to use the word monitor throughout this hearing, what are y'all monitoring exactly? Let me tell you something. We're at war, and warfare doesn't always include AK-47s and nuclear weapons. Warfare includes engaging in social activity that give you access to intelligence that you would not otherwise have. I'm just sending a warning to my brothers and sisters in the Ethiopian region and around the world that this is how, unfortunately, these diabolical forces operate here in this country. And so you have to be on the lookout to make sure that you're not giving up the wrong information. And to the degree they have access, I would suggest to warn your people to keep their mouths closed and not to unnecessarily give them information. But I think that they're already going to have access to certain routes, certain locations that have probably absolutely nothing to do with the food actually getting into the market and being sold. And even the thing that they're the scam, the quote unquote food scam that they claim took place don't even really sound like that crazy scandalous to where they would shut down the whole program and force you into such agreement and vulnerability-based targeting, which sounds to me like they want you to do work to spy on individuals there and individuals that the United States have problems with and then report back to them. I don't like the smell of that. I Can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. My name is Vicki Diller, beloved. Be sure to check out my spiritual school. The Vicki Diller Mystery School is very low cost, will absolutely change your life. The information is transforming people, and I can't wait for you to tap in. Check it out on my website at VickiPlanet.com. That's VICKI Planet.com. And of course, be sure to share African Diaspora News broadcast. I can't wait to see you again.